Game day for the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Real Kyper and Bourne Show. Leaf edition this hour. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee, Derek Brandeo, Jen Rolnick. For the next 2 hours, we are live in this hour on Sportsnet 590, Sportsnet 360, and Sportsnet Plus from 4 to 6. And when you don't catch us live, go get us on a pod somewhere.
Please.
Yeah, please.
Keep us employed.
It's always a good thing, don't you think?
Very important.
A lot of Leafs employed over the last 7 days, or 7 games, I should say, as the Leafs go for their 8th consecutive win at the Scotiabank Arena. They'll welcome in the Vegas Golden Knights for the second time in a week they will play each other.
Mm-hmm.
Any chance this goes as well as their first game?
No.
In Sin City?
I mean, it went perfectly. They handled the defending Cup champs, right? They ran away with the game in Vegas. It's not going to go that well. Vegas isn't going to come in and lay down, do you think?
Probably not. I would believe that they would have had a thorough visit to the video.
I think so.
Of the game, and probably picked out ample examples of where they went wrong, particularly on maybe focusing too much on the big boys and letting the bottom half of the Leaf lineup beat you, because that was the feel a week ago, was it not? That the bottom 6 beat the Vegas Golden Knights, not necessarily Matthews or Marner or Nylander.
It's funny when you say, hey, make that team beat us with the rest of the guys. Shut down the big guys. Well, make the rest of them beat us. And then the rest of them beat you, and you go, oh. Now what do we do?
I guess you can live to, you can live with that, I guess.
You say, we executed the game plan. But I would expect that's good news for the top guys who should get a little more space. You get home change. I don't expect Aiden Hill to get yanked, 15 minutes into the game or whatever it was last time. So he's starting again for the Golden Knights. Interesting stats you have in here on the Leafs record versus the Western Conference. 22-5-2.
Yeah, this is from Terry Koshan, Post Media. He said 22-5-2 against Western Conference team, easily the best in the East. No other team in the East has more than 18 wins. So this basically means Leafs get to the finals, they'll win the Stanley Cup.
That's what this means for sure.
There is
right, Sammy?
No other way to draw a line than the one you just did.
Yeah,
you nailed it.
It's
absolutely.
Done.
So
no more 1967.
You're talking about, the Golden Knights giving them a better effort. They're still really banged up, fellas. And I looking at these line combinations, I think they'll still be in tough here. This Leafs team is really humming, and they've now won 7 in a row. They're on home ice for the first time in a while. We'll talk about the first game back from a road trip or whatever. But, their fourth line, Mason Morelli, Byron Frazee, and Sheldon Rample is their fourth line. Paul Cotter, Nicholas Waugh, Keegan Colasar, good players, but, that's up to their third line now. You've got Brendan Brisson on the top line. It's not exactly the most threatening forward core.
It's not a threatening forward core, but it's still Martinez, Pietrangelo, McNabb, Theodore Hagg, Whitecloud on the back.
They shot 7 past those guys last time. So I know they'll be dialed in a little bit more, but I think, the Leafs do post a pretty big threat to the Knights tonight in terms of what they're looking like with their forwards.
For sure.
Jack Eichel skated, I think, for the first time.
He did.
Yes, in a Rouge jersey, which is the injury non-contact one, but he's moving. He's getting out there again. That's a good sign for Vegas.
I think they're on an extended trip, are they not?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Which I think includes the Boston Bruins, and that's basically where
they got
he's
the Bruins
from.
on Thursday.
Is this more of a trip that I want to go home with a team?
Well, if he's skating, I think it's important that he's around and practicing with them and all that.
He may see action in probably, I don't know, I would imagine a week and a half.
Mm-hmm. But so since the Maple Leafs beat them, they were struggling during that stretch. They lost to the Senators in a shootout. They get the Leafs again tonight, and then it's at Boston, at Buffalo, at Columbus to end their trip. So that's a long trip in the middle of a tough patch for them.
Can I bring something up about the fans tonight?
Mm-hmm.
I saw Bonesy tweeting about this. I think this is the first game back at home for Morgan Riley.
Yeah.
I would expect a louder
standing
than
ovation.
Maybe not standing, but a rousing. I think it matters.
Interesting.
I do. Like, I've been thinking about this a lot, and I know
should acknowledge him.
he
For what?
For saving the season with
For what?
cross-checking someone in the face.
For the cross-check to the
Yes,
face, or
for
for
the cross-check
having
to the face.
returning after a long suspension?
No.
What are we cheering?
For getting his nose dirty when so many in the past haven't.
Are you zagging on this?
I'm not zagging at all. I just want to clarify that we're celebrating the cross-check.
It's exactly what we're talking about.
Okay, good. No, that's
that
great.
the fans
So for
turn
what it's worth,
around
I agree.
and say, "Hey, Morgan, it's a dirty job. You did it. We've won a lot of games since then,
Yeah.
and now possibly you righted a ship a little bit here for us."
This guy cares. We care that he cares. We all care.
And
Here
it's
we go.
Morgan Riley, who, I think is a sneaky fan favorite in terms of just how much he cares, how much he loves being a Leaf, how much, the fan base responds to this guy. And the fact that he was the one that did that, it really propelled them towards a 7-game winning streak. It'd be nice to see them give him a little extra juice on home ice tonight. I would like to see that. Maybe even a standing O. Why not a standing O? Why not?
Because he did a criminal activity.
Yeah.
That's what he did.
And guess what Toronto fans like? They like ice crimes. They do.
I really don't know about a standing ovation for cross-checking a guy in the head.
No.
But I get where you're going.
I got to tell you, if I'm there tonight, couple Coors deep, I'm getting up.
And
I'm standing. I'm clapping.
All the moralizing aside about how you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't hurt people. But as a sports fan, I can see why people would be like, way to go.
It is kind of embarrassing.
What?
Kind of embarrassing that you think that your team has been so soft for so long that this is the acknowledgement that you need to have.
Yeah. But I mean, it hasn't happened
Right?
yet. We don't know that the fans will react
come
that
on,
way.
Sammy.
No, I disagree.
No, I think he's making a good
No,
point.
no. If you
the Leafs are
first
soft.
of all,
Shocker. Is that where
first
we're
of
going
all,
here?
if you were a season ticket subscriber to the Florida Panthers, your
Tampa Bay over the last 5
knees
years.
would get tired of standing ovations all year long.
It would be like,
Right?
he continued to
You
stand
know what
up
I'm
for the
saying?
boys.
Yeah.
This
I get
is a
what you're
norm.
saying.
This behavior has been a
Do you
norm
understand?
for the Florida Panthers all season long.
Yeah.
You want to give one guy a
Here's the
standing
difference.
ovation
Here's the
for
difference,
it.
though, Kyper, between the Leafs and the Florida Panthers. A Florida Panther's not even getting fined for that. The Morgan Riley gets 5 games suspended for it, so that's the difference. The Peros would be like, yeah, it's fine.
God.
He's not getting suspended for 5 games.
Yeah,
Now you're now you're
What do you think? Who do you think I am?
okay.
Here?
We don't mind you as the president of the Booster Club for the Toronto Maple Leafs, but when you pull out pom poms, that's where we draw the line.
I think he deserves acknowledgement for
I'm with you.
a turning point in the season. And I don't think that a standing ovation would be too much to ask. And I
Yes.
don't think it would be embarrassing.
It's not Borja Salming Team Sweden 1976 standing ovation
No,
at Maple Leaf Gardens.
Yes. Yeah, but he's playing for the Leafs. He's not playing for Sweden.
They should do
No,
these-
but I'm acknowledging that
Yes.
that's a real standing ovation.
I get all this, but I think I guess that's what we get paid to do. We get paid to overthink things. But you're overthinking it a bit here. The guy did a thing that was awesome and everyone loved it, and he's back for the first time.
And yes, give him
so
a
stand
cheer.
up. Nah, stand up. Get in your feet.
They should treat it like he's a returning player and do a video tribute to the prospect and have him come out. And,
They
Now
should
we're
have-
talking.
Have the three of us actually break it down. Like, let's stop the game and we break it down on the big monitor.
as the video shows.
You've been to a Vegas game, Kyper. They bring out this night thing. They bring out a golden night, and they do this whole enactment. They should do that before the Leafs game and bring out a guy with the Ridley jersey.
Yes.
I'm onto something here. Anyways, I think he deserves a little acknowledgement.
By the way, just so you know,
past it.
Sam nearly got concussed in beer league today, so if he's a little off, just
First
so you
your
know.
car and now your head.
God.
What is going on with you?
I will say, I don't know, am I making less sense? Because I'm feeling like I am.
No,
Okay.
you're good. You're
Okay,
making
good.
the usual
Good.
amount of
What
nonsense.
happened?
I fell. I fell like a crappy
right,
hockey player.
backwards?
right after a move on the goalie,
Yeah.
going,
No, so
just past the net.
I made a rather nice move around the defender, if I do say so myself, but I was extending because the puck got away, and then I hit a rut, and I went head first in the boards. So it's okay, though. I'm fine. Fine.
Fine.
All good.
We'll wake you up every 10 minutes during the show.
I'm fine. No problems.
So same lines tonight. Noah Gregor is still a healthy scratch. Your thoughts on going this long with Gregor and not getting back in? Do you believe that Reeves is playing himself into a potential playoff lineup?
No, I think they're getting him ready for the big guy in the New York Rangers.
Rempe. You think so?
Well,
keep his cardio up for when he's going to go
you can't
3
just,
rounds?
Well, I mean, the fourth line's had its 2 of its best nights in the last 2 games with him on it.
Yeah.
They've won 7 in a row. I don't think anybody's clamoring for Gregor to get back into the lineup. To me, it's just keep playing him until you lose.
I mean, Reeves is on a 3-year contract. He's had had a good few games here. Keep him going.
Yeah, I think it's still debatable whether or not we'll see Ryan Reeves in game 1.
Yeah.
I think that's a long shot, to be honest with you. But right now, it's serving its purpose. There's a good look on that fourth line. Reeves has never spent less time in his own zone than he is in this current run.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not an issue. And, let Gregor get hungrier.
I'll take you back, though, Kip, to game 1 versus Tampa Bay last year when the Leafs thought it was going to be physical, tone-setting hockey, and they dressed Kyle Clifford and Wayne Simmons in game 1. I think we all remember it was
bad
Clifford
penalties.
took a 5-minute major.
That was 2 series ago. That was the first Tampa series where
Not last year?
No, it was not last year.
2 years ago.
It was 2 years ago.
2 years ago with Clifford.
And he buried someone from behind into the boards, 5-minute major,
they
kicked
killed
out of
it
the game.
off,
They killed it
and
off,
then-
1-5-0.
Yeah.
They lost game 1, 8 or 7-2 last year?
That's right.
Yeah.
And then they won 7-3 the next game.
Anyways, so there you go.
Anyway, my point is,
Yes.
may Ryan Reeves had that same relevance where they're like, it's game 1, it's Boston, or it's Florida. We're
Yeah.
going to need the meat.
Yeah, I think Ryan's at the point of his career, and he's played a lot of playoff games.
He has,
it's not like it's
120 playoff
it's a
games,
good
something
run
wild.
here, and I think over the course of those playoff games, whether it's Vegas or the Rangers, did he play much in the playoffs for the Rangers?
Oh, a ton, yeah.
So
just looking
he's
at
got enough savvy in him to not do anything stupid. I don't think that'll be the case. It'll just be strictly on whether or not you're okay with the lack of speed or footwork, I think.
He's played 108 playoff games.
108 playoff games. He played
It's a ton.
18 with the Rangers. He went deep a number of times.
Yep.
With the Golden Knights, 19 and 12.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's just a matter of the look you want.
Yeah.
And right now, I think he's fine where he is. And, from Brad Treliving's point of view, you still want to prove that it wasn't a dumb
I
signing.
think that there's some of that too, right? You need to validate them.
And he's doing it right now.
Yeah.
He's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
He's fine. And, Brempy's going to come down Saturday night. I don't know where the
Will
kid's
you
going
be
to be.
surprised if he doesn't fight him?
Listen, the guy's had a tough week. I don't know where he is. Like, he's got to get through Columbus tomorrow night.
I bet you they tell him he can't fight that Olivier.
It wouldn't be the worst move, to be honest with
Do
you.
you think he's got the pride thing of having lost one and now he's going to want to?
Listen, I've never gone against my coach. And I've been on benches where coaches saying, "Listen, I don't want you to fight. Okay? Don't fight. I need you to forecheck hard. I need you to get pucks out of your own zone. I don't want to see fighting out of you as the number one priority."
Mm-hmm. You're right. If he's told not to, he won't.
If he's told not to, you don't want to embarrass the coach or yourself. So listen, and that's where the Rangers got to step up and go, "Buddy, we love your gumption, but
Good word.
we gotta pull back a little bit here."
I bet they make it public to protect him, not embarrass him, right? For not going back at the guy. They'll say, we don't want him to do that anymore.
So, I mean, there's a lot of pluses off of what he's been able to do in a short period of time.
Yeah.
But you gotta protect him a little bit here.
So no Liljegren for the Leafs tonight.
Where is the lily pad?
Day to day.
He is day to day.
Can they not like it? Can they just not be healthy ever. There's always like one guy, one situation,
I think that's everywhere.
So now we've got Gio back in the lineup.
Yeah.
And 6 left-handed shots.
6 left-handed D-men tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at pairs of Brody McCabe, Riley Benoit, Giordano Legason. So McCabe, Benoit, and Legason playing offsides.
It's interesting to me that they stuck with Brody on the left side.
Well, it's funny, right? Like they need 3 left shots to play the right side, and Brody isn't one of them.
I'm sure he will. Like when push comes to shove, like it happened against Colorado. Keefe couldn't help himself, putting him together with Riley again here and there. I'm sure it'll happen again. They'll be mixing. We'll listen to the clip from the coach.
All right, let's go to Sheldon Keefe for our first Kippers Clipper on how the Leafs handle their D-core without Liljegren.
Yeah, well, I suspect we'll be moving things around a fair bit. Obviously, 6 left-handed guys. We do have different people that are comfortable on the right side. Obviously, we know Brody's comfortable there. Morgan, even last game, took some shifts on the right side. McCabe, of course, and Legason. So, Benoit, probably the one that's spent the least amount of time there. We gave him some reps yesterday in practice for that reason, if we had chosen to use him there. But, with the different mix that we have, I think you'll see different people moving around.
Yeah, and that's the way Keefe likes to do it. Jump it around as the game goes on.
All right. I don't know what you guys want to do. You want to follow up this D-core conversation with something's going to come to a head here soon because Morgan needs a partner.
Mm-hmm.
So
you don't think playing with Legason is going to do it?
No.
Benoit?
No, I don't. I think...
well, you've been working the phones, Kippy. You hear anything? What's going on?
Just the Leafs' number one target, number one priority would be in a perfect world, Tanev, and they're not there. He's tried all season.
What about Seattle's guys? That like Will Borgen they have. He's playing second line. He's a right shot, big body guy. Really good players, 27, making 2.5 or 2.75.
First of all, there is a sense around the whole league that whoever needs D, and it's been noted as many as 10 to 11 teams need D, that there's Tanev, and then you can throw a blanket on a number of guys after Tanev. Mm-hmm. So those are the guys that you're talking about.
Like Adam Larson's in Seattle, too. I don't know if Seattle's done. They're pretty done, but...
I don't think Seattle's looking at moving Adam Larson. I think they like their D, and they're just trying to find ways to add some more scoring. So I don't think they want to rob one to pay another here. But
Seattle's just going to Minnesota Wild themselves right into the old 17 to 20 spot for years.
What does Larson have? He's got a very good contract.
Yeah, he only makes $4 million, and he's under contract next year as well.
Yeah,
6'3" right shot.
So if Seattle's actually still thinking about making the playoffs and for sure want to make the playoffs next year, why are you getting rid of a very good, solid defender who's very cap friendly? It just... It makes no sense to start throwing these names out there as being legitimate type of guys that the Leafs can focus on.
Yeah. It's just crazy. Like, if you scour the league, like, there's not a ton of great fits. Jonas Siegel had written an article about some potential targets. One that I thought we've had here before with the Leafs was Lyubushkin. I liked the question he asked, which was how much cheaper or how much worse is he than Chris Tanev? How much, does he not do kind of the same thing? We've seen him with Riley in the playoffs in the past. They played pretty well together. We know he hits right.
It's night and day for me.
Oh, a big difference?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's different, but it's also...
One's a legit top 4, and the other one's your third pair.
But that's what Luke Shen was, and that worked for the Leafs. And
did it work for the Leafs? They got smoked in the second round.
Yes, it worked. They were a wonderful pair. They were great.
No, it still wasn't good enough. They lost. They weren't even close in the second round. How can you tell me it was good? It worked.
If a team makes a good trade and they don't win the cup, it doesn't make the trade or the players good.
Luke Shen is a third pair D on a Stanley Cup championship team, which he was in Tampa.
Yeah.
putting him with Morgan Riley or Lyubushkin with Morgan Riley is not the look of a team that's ready to go to a final.
I think it depends what the rest of that group looks like. It depends on the other four guys.
You can see it right now.
I can see it. And yeah, it is. I get your point. But when you're talking about acquisition costs and what the Leafs have to spend, what is Tanev going to cost compared to Lyubushkin? Lyubushkin's going to be a third or a fourth rounder, something like that. Tanev's a first and a 5-year or 4-year extension.
No, maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe you find a way to get Tanev thinking outside of the box. Right?
I mean, then that interests me a great deal more. The extension's still worrisome, but...
Well, the extension is just cost of doing business, and you can feel that you're going to pay Tanev what you were paying Brody. That's it. So...
Yeah.
And you're a lot more comfortable, I think, with Tanev for the next 2 years than you would be Brody at $5 million.
Sure, but on a 4-year deal, that's...
So can the Leafs get around spending a first rounder or even picks for that matter?
To me, trying to get cute to do this means someone else is going to do it.
Just get more people involved in a trade with Tanev. Like, go move bodies. Forget about the first rounder. Move bodies. What would interest Calgary to move Tanev out? Maybe it's
now we're talking.
4 or 5 guys. You got to move guys out. You got to move bodies out. Maybe it's a 5-player trade. Maybe it's Tanev and...
Take McMahon, take Robertson, take...
Mangiapane. What's Mangiapane's situation? Does he need a new contract?
He's a UFA.
All right.
What was that move?
That's my ears perking up.
Oh.
Yeah.
So now it's Tanev and Mangiapane, and now it's... see, you got to throw a sweetener in here. So what would excite Calgary off the Leaf roster? So maybe it's Minton. I don't know where they sit on Minton, but take a look at the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks. What's propped up here? Maybe it's Holmberg. You know how I feel about Holmberg, but I would think Calgary would be a lot more excited about Holmberg today than they were 2 or 3 weeks ago. Big body, can eventually maybe move into a top 6, 7, 8th on your depth chart. Is he that good? I don't know. Do you see that?
This seems like a bit of a poo-poo platter for the one of the biggest. Like, I don't think they're gonna.
Do you throw in?
They're gonna be asking for Cowan. They're gonna be asking for Minton. They're gonna be asking your first. Like, if you want to,
you don't need to go that deep. I don't think you need to go that deep because you got to understand they're asking already for a first rounder, and no one's giving it to them.
Yeah.
They're not getting it.
Okay.
And there's a very good chance between now and next Friday, they don't end up with one team offering a first rounder. The problem for the Leafs is it drops into a second rounder. Everybody's lining up with the second rounder, except the Leafs don't have it.
Yeah.
So what else can we sweeten you with? So Timmins, Robertson, and Holmberg enough for a UFA and Chris Tanev?
No.
Okay.
Well, no, listen, but I like the direction you're going because I think
the type of deal that Brad's now got to throw them until they say yes.
I think what's probably giving teams pause on Tanev is that pure rental versus extension thing. Because if you're going to spend a first, you're keeping the player. Not a ton of people would be comfortable keeping a pretty battle-worn guy who's already 34. And that might give them some pause, which might open the door a little bit to something like what you're talking about now. Mangiapane is a very interesting name for me because he's the type of gamer who gets in and under and through players in a way that I really value.
Is he too much like Bertuzzi? Are they two of the same? You're finally getting Bertuzzi going, but you could use Mangiapane, could you not?
First line left wing the second he shows up.
He makes 5.8 this year and next, Mangiapane.
Oh, he's got another year?
Yeah.
Oh, he's not UFA?
No, he's got another year.
Okay.
5.8.
All right.
But Bert's 5.5 in that spot. So
I thought he was UFA. Yeah. My apologies.
Well, that's just more cost. It not prohibitive. I mean, yesterday
correct.
we talked to Francis, and the name he mentioned as a potential surprise name was Mangiapane.
Yes.
It's not like this is coming out of nowhere. So
yeah, but that to me can Brad Treliving do that type of deal and protect a first round.
It was funny hearing Francis talk about the risk of trading with the Leafs and how if it really works for the Leafs, it just buries your reputation.
Who's the Leafs' top D prospect?
Tofi Niemela?
Noah Chadwick.
Could we interest you in one of those guys?
Yeah.
I think there's that.
Yeah, Chadwick's pretty.
Yeah,
tempting.
he was like a 6th rounder, and they signed him already. He's playing well in the dub. Maybe he's one of a guy. I don't know. There's not one guy that you named that I wouldn't trade for those two guys. Except Cowan, I probably wouldn't trade for those two guys. But why not just the first?
Yeah,
Fine with the first. Fine with it.
It's expensive.
Yeah, I know it is.
I know.
And
I'm not saying I wouldn't necessarily do it, but I've got to have my back against the wall on March 8th to do it.
Yeah, it's 2:55 p.m. and he's like, either he's going to a rival or you give us the first.
So,
yeah.
All right.
Buddy, it is crazy how close we are to this deadline. It's 8 days away.
Yeah.
And TV producers everywhere are very thrilled about, and hosts are very thrilled about the lack of
Did you see
movement.
our game, our national game last night had a countdown. Like it was
Did it?
like something like 260 hours to go or
I think
something
it's tongue
like
in
that.
cheek, right? Like
No, I think they're dumb enough to think that that's really important for us to see. That's what I think.
No comment.
also
No comment or questions at this time from me.
I'm like, I can't do the math. I see like 256 hours, and it means nothing to me.
That feels like it's more hours than that, but
I
I can't.
know.
I have no brain. So.
I saw a lot of numbers there.
10 days times 24 hours, we're at 240. So,
Looked like a old Jerry Lewis telethon
buddy, it's
with all those numbers.
I can't believe the lack of action here. So something's coming.
Yep.
All
All
right.
right, we got lots of stuff to listen from Sheldon. So.
We should go.
Oh, should go.
Yeah.
Oh,
Got
there's
Carter Hutton at
Oh, my
4:30.
goodness.
Oh, we got Carter
Yeah.
Hutton. All right, former NHL goalie, current analyst with dailyfaceoff.com. We're going to talk 3 goaltenders as Joseph Woll is back in the mix for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So get ready for Carter Hutton after the break. More Real Kyper and Bourne after these words. All right, let's get ready to welcome in Carter Hutton, former NHL goalie, and does a terrific job on dailyfaceoff.com. Carter, how are you? Second time on the show. Love having you on. How are you?
Always nice getting the call back, buddy, because I've been on teams where I've been one and done, so it's nice to be back. So.
Oh, we know the feeling. We absolutely know the feeling. So tonight we'll see Samsonov back in the lineup. To my surprise, a tad is Joseph Woll will not back up, although he's ready to go, which means a 3-goalie system right now that Martin Jones is still in the picture and far off in the skies, but maybe working on his return. Also, Matt Murray. So let me ask you before we get specifically on the Leafs, just generally how you feel about an NHL team carrying 3 goalies.
I don't necessarily love it, but I think nowadays with what's going on with the Leafs, they need the depth. But for me, it's getting reps, right? It's getting the right reps in practice. There's only so much time. There's always going to be a third guy who isn't, there. When we were during the COVID year, I was in Buffalo. Me and Linus Ullmark were taking all the reps. We had Jonas Johansson, who's gone on to have a great career, but it's hard. You have to step over guys. You need to get your time because there's only so much time and so much quality time you can get. So I think it's something the NHL you're going to see a little more of because of the fact that you need goalie depth, and especially with how many goalies we've run through this year in the NHL, you need extra bodies.
Do players shoot differently on the third goalie in practice? Like, is it one of those things they're catching them off the collarbone or what?
Yeah, there is the fact when the third goalie rolls in that they are a little meaner. Actually, one of your co-hosts there, Jamal Mayers, I remember my first time in San Jose and I slid out. I was with Antti Niemi and I stepped in there and he went high and hard a few times and I didn't go down on one of his shots. He let me know. He told me, "Rookie, you always go down when I shoot on you."
Just leave the puck stopping to me.
So, like, one of the things that drove me nuts every time I was in a situation with a third goalie is like they don't know necessarily where to stand.
You're in the
Right?
corner. Am I by the
Like,
benches?
Is it now an unwritten rule where you got to go sit on the bench? Is there anywhere that they can stand that they can't get in the way? Or is it one of those, even as a veteran, you still don't know where to stand? It would depend on the drill, I would imagine.
Yeah, it's kind of awkward, right? Especially it's one thing if a guy wants rest, right? And he's been playing, maybe he's not going to take the full reps. Usually if you're the third guy, you're getting in late in a drill or a guy's already tired or you're coming out at the end of practice. But I agree, there really is no written rule where you stand. You don't want to sit on the bench because then you feel like you totally aren't involved in the team whatsoever. So it's one of those things everybody know you needs depth. It gets awkward at times, but at the same time, I think goalies at this level understand you're not even competing with those guys. You're competing against yourself every single night. And that's the main goal here, I think, for anyone in the NHL.
So how do you think the Leafs should handle the guys they've got now? You got Samsonov, who's been winning games, not with a sterling save percentage, but he's been winning games.
Just for the record, since the All-Star break, he's up around 9-11, and he's 9-2. Not bad.
9-11?
Yeah, his save percentage.
I thought he was like 900 or something.
No.
Okay.
I think overall he might be.
Okay.
I think in his last 6 wins, he's under 900 in the last 6 from what I see. So I think it's more the way they're defending too. It shows a difference in how they've defended. And for Joseph Woll, you look at his numbers this year, it's been really good, but they weren't defending as well. I think this Morgan Rielly, kind of galvanized his team, the suspension, getting guys to buy into a bigger role to play defense. It kind of gives me the feel of when, Barry Trotz came into Washington and got Ovi and those guys to buy in to play a little more D, which benefits your goalie. But at this point, I like Samsonov's game. I still feel like you, as a GM, as a coach, as teammates, you don't forget about what just happened at the start of the year. It's still in your back of your mind. He gives up a couple stinkers. You're worried he's going to just mail it in. So I think you got to get Woll going at this point and see who's going and ride the hot hand.
Okay, Carter, what does that mean when you say get him going here? Like, he's been off for over 2 months here. If say he plays against Arizona on Thursday night, would you go back to him Saturday night against the Rangers? Would you let him get on a run? Is there a sense that you still have to protect this guy even if he looks good early?
Yeah, I think just with the injury prone, I feel like you want to get to somewhere where you have a platoon of goalies, right? You have Martin Jones, you know who he is. He's going to be able to go. He's got a ton of playoff experience. So if you have to throw him in, he's ready to go. But I think just going game by game, right? Kind of a feel, even where you get into the point where the Bruins have Swayman and Allmark, both guys are going. And then when it comes time, we have someone ready to go. Where I think at this point, Samsonov has earned the crease, but at the same time, Woll never really lost the crease. So I think it's a chance for him to get back, get some NHL reps under him, because I know he played well in the American League, but again, the American League is the American League. You know the difference between the speed at the NHL level.
Carter, what has changed that goaltenders who are not necessarily the biggest names in the league can win Stanley Cups now? Like, has everyone just gotten so good? Like, Aiden Hill has won, Darcy Kemper, names that we didn't think of at the time as like the top 5 guy in the league. It feels like the level of goaltending over the past 10 years or so has just gotten to the place where like everyone in that top 60 whatever are very good goalies.
Yeah, it is. There's a handful of guys you want on your team, right? That you can't really buy in free agency. The Vasilevskis, the Hellebucks, these guys are just elite every single year. No matter how good the team is, they seem to get it done. And for me, it's just the fact that like the structure and the way you play, and you get a goalie that can get hot at any time. And that's where that salary cap, you sign a bad contract. You look at Korpisalo this year in Ottawa, it hasn't had a great year, and they're married to that contract, right? That's where that tough commitment comes when you have guys like, Binnington winning a Stanley Cup. Even Martin Jones, when he played really well for the Sharks, bringing them to the Cup final. So you kind of need to strike lightning in a bottle, which is, I always used to joke around with my agent, like, hey, just to explain them, I can get hot at the right time. Right? Yeah. It's almost some sort of selling point, like, how do you sell it? And that's where I think these teams that have had depth with 3 goalies, you look at the Wings this year with Alex Lyon and James Reimer's played well as of late. Even the Habs carrying 3, having that extra depth because injuries happen. And at the same time, if you get a guy hot at the right time, that's pretty much all you need come playoff time.
It just seems the last few years, it's been almost a lock that when we were talking best goaltenders in the National Hockey League, it's Vasilevsky, it's Shesterkin, and then Sorokin. And yet all 3 of them have struggled this season. How surprised are you? And Vasilevsky, listen, he's coming off surgery. I get that. Is there a sense that he may not ever return to that real consistent look that he's had prior to that because of that surgery? Or do you still expect to see him back?
I definitely would never count a guy like that out. For me, I think you get a point with Vasilevsky where you've got to start managing minutes, right? He's not as young as he used to be. He wants to play every game. Like, he's waving the coach off when he wants to get pulled. But I think for him, getting a little bit of a reset is important. Even I think Shesterkin, just the All-Star break, he goes and plays in the All-Star game, gets some days off, and he's been better since. What I found in my career is we're so compressed when we're playing goal. Like you get into a state where the games just come and you're playing the wear and tear, where sometimes you get into situations where I look at Samsonov, where last year he was under a lot of pressure in Toronto, had a great playoff run, hoping to get that contract. He doesn't get the contract. And now all of a sudden you get into that season where you're trying to prove yourself again. And it's a lot to wear and tear, especially with the day and age we live in with social media and everything, and especially living in the fishbowl in Toronto.
So how much do different defensemen or like different style of defensemen affect a goaltender's ability to have success? I'm talking about the Leafs at the trade deadline. They're going out looking for a guy like Tanev or, guys who clear the front of the net, Joel Edmondson or Goodbranson, whoever it may be. Is it a lot easier when you have guys like that in front, or do we overstate that as people watching?
I wouldn't say it's easier, but I think it creates a sort of predictability, and that comes with predictable defensemen and structure. Like for me, a great example would be I lead the league in stats one year playing for the St. Louis Blues. Was it me, or was it a fact of, yes, I played well at times, but also some of my hardest games were just getting to the rink on time, right? We had Bouwmeester, Pietrangelo, Edmondson, who you touched on, Parenko, all these big guys that took up space and made the game predictable. And then the next season I go to Buffalo, where we have a younger team. And now all of a sudden, the unpredictableness of the game comes in, and I'm trying to do too much. It gets hard. And that's where I really saw Samsonov this year. His feet were busy sliding outside of the net, not very clean, where now the game seems like he's got his feet underneath him there. There's more confidence, and that becomes because of your decor, because of the structure that's brought into play.
McDonough gone from Tampa Bay with Vasilevsky. Could that be a big part of, the challenges now for Vasilevsky once again to show everybody he's this best goalie in the world?
Yeah, I agree. I think sometimes you get tied to guys in the system, and for him, it's a chance. Vasilevsky is one of those guys. He is such an elite athlete compared to myself or these other guys that I would say fill the rest of the NHL rosters. So for him, it's the chance to compete again and play well, because this team still has a pretty good core. They can score, and I think anyone going into the playoffs at this point, you not really want to face a Tampa Bay team, because if he gets hot in a 7-game series, it's going to be really tough to knock that team out.
So you've been watching this Leafs team as closely as we have this season. How much do you think they need to get a facelift here as the deadline gets close? Because, boy, they're looking really good without one, but I know most teams would like to improve a little bit still.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys touch on it a lot. It's nice to see that, the second half, the bottom six, getting some goals and getting some support. And for me, that I see Simon Benoit come up and play really well. When you see a defenseman like that, it's almost like, why don't we have 5 of them? Have 5 defensemen that just can take up time and space, and then have your offensive guy that can move pucks. I'm a big Jake McCabe fan. Mm-hmm. I think he was, I played 3 years with him. He pours his heart out. He's a team guy, but he was a little like, playing outside of his role, trying to do everything. When he's playing shutdown D, hard-nosed hockey, he's tough to play against, and a guy that will do whatever it is to win. So I think the spirits are high, but again, this structure that they're playing with now gives me more hope watching, I think, as a fan now, and on the other side of the media, compared to when I was playing for this Leafs team to actually do some damage in the playoffs.
The Leafs will face Hill tonight for Vegas. Of course, Vegas, he was the number 1 goalie for them to win the Stanley Cup, but not necessarily a name that we ever envisioned would get to that point. And yet, when you look at that blue line, yeah, there's some challenges. No Jack Eichel, but that blue line, I would imagine Hill goes to the rink every day and thinks he won the lottery with that blue line.
Yeah, I've been there. I won that lottery when I signed in Buffalo after playing in St. Louis. So honestly, it's one of those things though, and I think for Adin Hill, I honestly didn't see this coming. I played against Adin Hill. He was more of a backup. I didn't really think, he gets in the Stanley Cup and he plays really well. I thought there would be a hangover phase. I didn't think he'd get the contract and be able to come back and answer it the way he has, but I see there's a maturity too. There's almost like a mental wall you get to where the physical abilities doesn't change, but you've had so much experience now mentally with what you do on the rink and the success you've had, where that's where I think he's at now. He has so much more confidence in himself, and he doesn't view himself as that backup now. He's a Stanley Cup champion, and having that in your back pocket, even the way Binnington carries himself, where some of these guys that have playoff success, it really can snowball into a better career because you get over that mental hurdle, which we saw Samsonov struggle with this year.
Yeah. Last one from me, just your thoughts on Joseph Woll coming back and the challenges of returning from injury. I imagine goaltending is such a mental position. Is it just a matter of being able to not think about the ankle while he's getting back into gameplay?
Yeah, it's not the first injury he's dealt with, right? I touched on that last time I was on. The ankles are scary, but at the same time, we're dealing with world-class doctors and physicians and people getting him ready to play. For me, it's just, he's at the maturity level now. It's not like he's a young 21-year-old or 22-year-old you're trying to rush up. He's 25. He's been around the game now a lot, enough pro things, and especially last year, his playoff experience, I think, will come into handy here as he gets back into it. So I'm not too worried about him. I just want to see how Samsonov handles having someone nipping at his heels here. If Woll comes in and starts playing well, is he going to shut it down, or is this going to be something healthy that they can really foster into the playoff run here?
One more for me, Carter, and I'll let you go, I promise. With Carter Hart still dealing with his off-ice issues here, it's wide open for a Team Canada, Four Nations and Olympics here. And the names now, of course, are Hill and Bennington, and I don't know, I'm out of names, guys. Give me some help here.
Stuart Skinner, I think, might be another one. Stuart Skinner might be another one on the list.
So you tell me, is this something that Canadian hockey fans can look forward to? Or is this going to be one of those, boy, oh boy, are we not looking as great as we have in the past when it comes to historic teams with Team Canada?
It's one of those things. I think it's an odd place for us, right? Like, we look back, and for so many years we had Price, we had Brodeur, Luongo, Waugh, these guys that were just, Hall of Fame goalies. So it's going to be interesting moving forward. But it's nice to have these guys that are getting good experience now, that are all going to get playoff experience. And again, now I touch on what I just touched on. These are world-class goalies, right? Now, who can get hot at the right time, play well in these short tournaments? Whether you're good or bad, if you can be hot at the right time is what they're going to need. And it's definitely a new phase for us when you look at the American side. You go south of the border with Ottinger and Demko and Hellebuck and a lot of stars where it seems like they have the upper echelon of goaltending now. And you touched on earlier the Russians. So it's a different spot for Canada, but I would be confident with what the Canada can put on the ice. You're going to get some good goaltending as well.
Carter, great stuff as always. We really appreciate you having you on the show, and looking forward to a few more as we head towards trade deadline and then the Stanley Cup playoffs. Thanks for doing this, pal.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having me on as always.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Former NHL goaltender, current analyst with dailyfaceoff.com, Carter Hutton.
He really had an exceptional few years. He was a 918 in Nashville, a 913 in St. Louis, then a 931 in St. Louis before he made $8.5 million with Buffalo over 3 years.
You okay, Sammy?
I think it's working. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, he's back.
And then he made
I've got
8.5
the plug here. Eh?
Yeah, I know. $8.5 million he made off that. So that's what he was talking about when
and
he
then
won the lottery.
he was great. 50 games. Buffalo played him in 908 the first year they got him. So
there you go.
So if Canadians are going to pin their hopes on a Bennington or an Aiden Hill, then how good does the defense have to be?
Vary to quite vary, I guess. It's not out of the question.
When their other team's getting 18 shots a game, it doesn't really matter.
Well, that's the thing is, we talked about how much easier it is but to play behind structure. Like, we're going to have 6 good D providing structure for whoever it is. So,
Led by Pietrangelo. No?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
He's definitely on my
And McCarr.
team. Kel McCarr. Morgan Riley in the mix for you?
Yes, he's in the mix.
Yeah.
He's a top 7 or 8 Canadian defenseman.
Absolutely.
For me.
Yep.
Oh, it'll be fun. We will have plenty of time to put together our mock Team Canada lineups.
Bonnie doesn't like this.
The Team Canada mock stuff?
Yeah. You've never liked it.
I don't like it.
You've never liked it.
I've never liked it because it takes genuine thought. Like, you need to sit there and work through the options, the lineup, who's going to kill penalties, whatever. And then
is that why you left Marner on your team?
Hey. Our show has never been about that.
Well, that's my point. But so when you go on the air and it's like, who should be the Leafs D? It's not as easy as that.
But we're out of work if we put the thought and prep that you're talking about into this show daily.
You're right.
Yeah.
We're done.
Yeah. Forget the
We're
care.
done.
Throw it out the
but
window.
it is it's starting to be a hot button topic. Right?
It's getting concerning.
Like, I don't know, the other day someone had Claude Giroux in instead of Mitch Marner. And I'm like,
was it him?
No.
Oh.
No. I don't know where I read it. And
Listen,
I'm like,
I'm not
what
gonna
world
be the guy,
is that?
I'm not going to be the guy where for a year now you act like I put Mitch Marner. I laid out my lineup. Take a guy out.
I will.
Yeah, go ahead.
Marcia, so done.
Okay, well, that's fine. I had Marner on with him.
But he's going to score 4 tonight.
Yeah. No, I had both those guys. I didn't have them off. And to me, it's like a matter of how you mix up those lines is kind of subjective and changes with injuries and chemistry and all that.
Of
It's just a matter of
course.
get the right
Something's
13.
not working. The offense is dried up.
sure.
Who do you move up? Who do you move down?
And that's where the thought comes in.
Who drags a lip for getting bumped off the first line?
And that's always blown my mind, too, that on Team Canada, anybody would. Get out there and be like, I'm not getting enough. It's like, you're on Team Canada.
Yeah.
You do it for the country
That
here.
tore apart the Tampa Bay Lightning and Stevie Wyatt.
I know.
So there you
That
go.
was a matter of getting on the
Hey,
team.
we got a new read for today. Let me quickly get that one in there.
All right.
Okay. Join Cobb's Bread this Saturday, March 2nd, for Donation Day, where $2 from every 6-pack of their hot cross buns sold will be donated to over 100 local Canadian charities with a target goal of over $500,000. To celebrate, we're giving away $100 Cobb's Bread gift cards all week. To enter, text the daily code word to 59590. Today's code word for one of the hot cross bun flavors is traditional fruit. Text traditional fruit to 59590 for your chance to win.
Sorry, you're not saying that clear. Traditional fruit.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm getting sewered, but
Well-
Cobb's Bread bakes fresh in-house all day, every day. And when the doors close, all leftover baked goods are donated to local charities, which is nice. The next morning, they start fresh. I love Cobb's Bread, so this is nice.
Cobb's Bread, shout out.
Shout out to Cobb's Bread, but traditional fruit is that code word. Text
Get your
595.
non-traditional
There you go.
pomegranates out of here.
There you go. Traditional
I've
fruit.
been ripping code names all season
Which
long.
we're simple and nice for the last
Yes, and now we get dropped traditional fruit.
name
which
me
is-
one. Name me a traditional fruit. An apple is a
An
traditional
apple.
fruit.
A strawberry?
Oh, that's against my
Banana?
traditions.
Banana for sure. Kipper?
It's one of those.
Okay, like I said, we don't do much prep for the show, so
Name a non-traditional
yes.
fruit was not.
no,
on
I'm
the-
not. Don't put me on the spot like that.
Yeah.
Oh. Apparently it was Mark Mathot that said Giroux over
Oh
Marner.
yeah, okay, all right. I knew I saw it somewhere.
Ottawa guy.
Ottawa guys.
But that's
I actually like Mark Mathot a lot. Wish he was
Sure.
Yeah, keep going.
except
Except for that
Claude
very
Giroux.
long opinion.
Yeah, drop in one of the top scorers the last 5 years for any Canadian player for
you're gonna
Claude
be fine.
Giroux. You're going to take some heat on that one.
Justified.
Just a quick Jays corner before we go, because we're in Toronto market. Alec Manoah's first spring start today didn't go so hot. And Shohei Ohtani has hit his first home run in his first game as a
Ding dong.
So
Dodger.
why is it not a good start for?
Because he hit people and threw 17 strikes
Here-
on 38 pitches and
Yeah.
gave up 4 runs in
do
an
we
inning.
know? Maybe he tried to hit people on purpose,
Maybe. That's a good, you know what?
right? Maybe
he was
he's
trying to throw
right
balls.
on.
So
Either way.
it could have gone better for the old Jays.
Seeing Shohei in blue and white hit a homer to opposite field and one he barely got a hold of.
And the most sickening part for Jays fans and everybody who's listening to this, and
Or
he's-
just you.
no, because listen, there's a lot of Jays fans listening to this
All
station.
right.
He looks so good in that Dodgers uni. He was
It's just the blue
he
and
was
white.
born to wear that Dodgers uni. Like that's him. Did my mic get cut off? Yeah, it did. I think. Am I gone? Oh no, I'm good. I'm back. My headphone came unplugged, so I couldn't hear myself. So I thought I got.
The higher ups turn your mic off.
Listen,
He looks so good in that jersey.
anybody making 700? Is that what he signed?
Yeah,
700.
Well, he's only making $2 million. He's
700.
deferred $698. I think.
He'll look.
Yeah.
You'll look good in any uniform.
Yeah, he'd look good in a Coyotes Kachina jersey.
Now, where are we on see-through baseball pants?
So apparently, it's a conspiracy theory. And last year they were see-through in spring training, and it was lighting from the studios that they were taking the picture. And apparently the pants aren't as bad as once said. So it seems
PR
like
spin. The pants aren't as bad, and the jerseys actually aren't as bad. And
seems like something by June. I would never think about this again. Maybe even April.
Are we over the questionable uniforms?
Yeah.
Completely?
No, not even close. I'm not over it. They're off.
You're not over it.
I'll be
Awful.
over it until they do the Leafs jerseys next year, and
Then we'll
Then we'll
throw
be
in
back.
Kiss.
Really?
yeah, then we'll be back. Yeah.
So it's the same company
Yeah.
that had all the
Yes.
leagues now?
yeah. I
Are
don't
we
know about
allowed
all
to
the
mention
leagues.
what the company is?
No.
No, we won't mention the name in case you want to sponsor our show. In case we love them.
Not a chance they're going to sponsor
be
our show. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. We come back. We go all national. Garry Galley will join us. Welcome back to the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. This is our national edition. We are live on Sportsnet and Sportsnet 650 in Vancouver and Sportsnet 960 in Calgary. This hour, Real Kyper and Bourne brought to you by Bet365. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. For the next hour, plenty to get into, and we'll do that in a few moments with Garry Galley, former NHLer, color analyst with Sportsnet, Hockey Night in Canada. Really love his insight, guys.
Yes.
He's one of my favorites.
Knows his stuff in and out. You seen the schedule tonight?
How many games?
3,000.
12 or 13 games tonight?
Yeah, lots and lots of hockey. Going to be an awesome night.
5 Canadian
Toronto,
teams?
Vegas. What's that?
5 Canadian
5
teams?
Canadian teams in action. The Flames got the Kings. What else you got for Canadian teams? Vancouver's got the Penguins, which is a really good game. Ottawa at Nashville. Montreal at Arizona. Arizona at Montreal.
Not as good at one.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So Ottawa has passed Montreal now.
Yeah.
Starting to work
Well,
their way up. And past Columbus.
Good for them.
Well, I know.
What an excellent accomplishment for those Ottawa Senators.
We'll
All
get-
the way past the Habs.
Garry Galley, of course, covered the Ottawa Senators in Washington last night. Guys, I don't know how Washington's doing it, to be honest with you, but full credit, they're hanging in.
I got a text from my Sens friend last night. That was, I think, halfway through the first period that said, Chychrun and whatever they want for Saros. Said, just get us a goalie. We can't do this.
Yeah.
6 goals against on 20 shots.
Yeah. Justin Williams last night had a little bit of a clip of Jacob Chychrun not maybe hustling back as quickly in his own zone as he would have liked. I found that kind of interesting.
Well, you're playing for, I know it's the NHL, but you're playing for a crappy team. Right? You're
It's
losing.
game 57.
But he's looking for, respectability. He's looking for a reason why he doesn't want to leave the Ottawa Senators. He hears his name in trade rumors.
You think he's not happy?
No, what I'm saying is you got reason to go hard all the time.
Yeah, I understand that. That's he's in a tough spot. His name kind of keeps coming up, and I'm sure he's sick of it. So yeah, you'd like to put that to rest, I'm sure, if you're him. But yeah, so the big night in the NHL. Who, I guess, what has your attention? You'll be watching the Leafs, obviously.
Well, before we maybe get into that, just the Edmonton Oilers was another game that I focused on last night, and not a great start by Edmonton. They found a way to win. I thought the LA Kings might be onto something here moving forward, but I just didn't see enough out of their lineup last night. And
it's kind of a boring style of play from the Kings. I find them very passive, which, when you got a bunch of good skaters like they have, you're not going to win a ton of hockey games.
Listen, to play that type of game that you're talking about, like you got to be almost like telling everybody your best players from the net on out. But that's not the case when you look at the goaltending situation with Los Angeles last night.
Do you think they could still make a move? Would they trade for a goalie, a Markstrom?
I
or
don't
a
know
Saros?
how they can't. Like,
oh yeah,
I don't know how they. There's so much pressure, I think, on Rob Blake right now.
I mean, Gavrikov, Doughty, Waugh, England, Clark, like they have good players on the back end, and Kopitar, Byfield, Deneau, and more. Like they have good players, Dubois. So, yeah, you can see how this is a team in a very weak race in the West should be able to make some hay. But you're right. If you don't get saves, you just can't compete. So, curious to see how aggressive they'll get. I would say we put them on the list of teams to watch over the next 10 days as we move to the deadline.
I love watching Bouchard shoot it. He just hammers it.
Yes.
And he scores the winning goal last night. He just hits it so hard, and it's a great motion. It's effortless how hard he hits the puck. He's a good story this
you're
year.
just taking the good with the bad sometimes too, because he'll step up at the blue line like we saw last night, and he'll go right when he should have gone left.
For sure. But like the good far outweighs the bad recently.
To your point about shooting, in terms of shots that have eclipsed 90 miles per hour this season, second most in the league is Hedman at 54. Bouchard's first, 89. So he's got 35 more 90-plus mile-an-hour shots. So he's just ripping it.
Wow.
Every night.
Wow.
Ovi in third in that list, by the way.
I think last night, again, might be an example of Edmonton being one of those teams in the hunt for, and I don't know how realistic this is. We had Eric Francis on the other day talking about, could Tanev go from a Calgary to an Edmonton situation?
Calgary prefer to trade with more. Their direct rival.
Yeah, I know.
Or the GM that just left.
I know, and it would have to be just an offer they can't refuse, I guess.
Well, remains to be seen.
Where does Zach Hyman rank as best free agent signings ever?
Yeah. So I tweeted about this last night. Pasternak in Boston scores an unbelievable goal, 37th of the year. And then I'm watching the highlights and Hyman scores. It's his 38th.
Yeah.
He's going to have 50 goals this year.
I don't know, 56 is the pace
for Zach Hyman.
And it's just every year he's gone there, he has just gotten better and better and better. It's got to be one of the best signings ever.
By the
honestly.
way, McDavid passing out of the spot he passed out of last night is insanity, unless you're Connor McDavid.
Yeah.
All right, let's bring him in. Garry Galley, former NHLer, color analyst with Sportsnet Hockey Night in Canada. Always welcomed on our show. Gals, thanks for doing this, man. Let's stay on Edmonton here for a little while, and then we'll get into the game that you covered last night in Ottawa and Washington. But, just to pick up on this Zach Hyman story, can you recall in your career ever watching someone make the transition from what we think is a solid third line type of winger to a 50-plus goal scorer, and the transition happens in your late 20s? Anything you can remember? I can't.
The only person that, and there's a lot of years and a lot of conks on the head here, but the only person that really leaps out at me that I think people weren't really sure if he was for real or not, and then he kept doing it. Remember Chris Kontos?
Yeah.
I think
Good
in the
friend,
playoffs,
too.
he just come out of nowhere and just started lighting it up, and everyone thought, okay, it's a bit of a flash.
Yeah.
And then he kept doing it.
Yeah.
And became an incredible playoff performer and stuff. But yeah, you got to tip your hat to Zach Hyman. You make a change and you go to a team like Edmonton and you get on a good line with McDavid or Draisaitl, and everyone thinks it's just easy. You just step on the line with one of these major superstars and just keep your stick on the ice and drive to the net, and it'll just bounce off it into the net for you. And people are so wrong. It takes a real good player. When you look at the Gensels and the guys that find a way to fit in with players, really good players, understand them, know where to go on the ice, know where they want you to go on the ice, and be able to have chemistry and read off them is not an easy thing to do. And I think these guys have done he's done a marvelous job in Edmonton, and he's reaping the rewards of that, which is well-deserved.
Gary, we've been talking on the show, we do the first hour as a Leafs hour and talking about looking for big, strong right-hand shot D-men. And then we're talking about teams who could use a big, strong right-hand shot D-man. And it's like every team. Where have they gone? What is the, the change in the NHL that it seems to be? Everyone knows they want that, but it doesn't seem to exist.
It's like if you had a child now, you should hand them a right hockey stick. I've
been brainwashing my kids, Gary. I don't let them shoot left.
It's like when I grew up, my grandfather gave me my first golf clubs. I was just a young kid, and whatever he gave me, that's the hand I was swinging. That was it. There wasn't no other choice. Yeah. That's the way you're going to play golf. So you played that way. If you gave me a set of lefties, I would have played left. But you go what you go with. And these kids nowadays, I do think. I was just recently out at Bowling Green on the weekend, watched the Bowling Green play Michigan Tech. We are seeing more right-hand shot guys coming up, the younger guys playing. I think we're going to see an influx of right-hand shots coming. And I think for the very reasons that we're talking about is that a lot of people talk about, how much gold is a right-hand shot defenseman worth. And it's incredible. And some of the better right wingers of our time have played left wing. Well, look at Ovechkin's a prime example.
Yeah.
It's incredible. But the right-hand shot defenseman is somebody that can last in the league a long, long time. Had a pleasure to watch Carlson last night, John Carlson, who became the all-time leading defenseman in Caps history, past Calle Johansson, and watched him, score a nice goal now in second place for all-time goals. Just a guy that's had a great, wonderful career. It got paused by that crazy head injury that he sustained, but just a guy who's consistently played well, a right-hand shot. gets put in really good situations and takes advantage of them. I think you're right. We need more of them. They just don't seem to be around right now. But I do believe, from what I hear, there's a lot of good right-hand shot guys that are coming through the pipe. I think the NHL is going to see them really soon.
So, Gals, when it comes to Chris Tanev, 34, he's turning 35, I think, next December. There is wear and tear. The sense is that he would have been gone now if Calgary would have been offered a first rounder. So we believe that teams really want him. They're just not ready to go to that next level here. How concerned should teams be at his age? The fact that he needs a new contract, the fact that there's been wear and tear. Like, you've been around a long time. You've been a player 35 plus in the league. How many more years does he have left? How big of a concern should it be if a team like Toronto does want to overspend on a first rounder in your mind? Is that worth taking that gamble?
Well, I think you have to feel like you're really close, and that's the one piece you need. Because, like, the first thing is yes, you're absolutely right. There's a lot of mileage and a lot of hard mileage. And the reason why there's a lot of hard mileage is because that's the way he has to play to be successful. And you got to love him. I love the way he plays. It's like Brendan Gallagher. Brendan Gallagher's career is not going to last as long as other guys' careers because they don't play it from the tips like Brendan Gallagher does or Tanev does, and Peter Forsberg. And you can go through a whole list of guys that have to play that way in order to play, right? So at the end of the day, good on Tanev to be that player, but I would be a little more cautious going down this road because of the hard miles and, how much more is left in the tank for him. And if he could do the job for you right now, and he's that one piece that you're missing, then absolutely. I think you take the chance and you go for it. I just don't know if they're just one piece there. And that's where I kind of get a little more, I'm not sure. I think he'd be a good addition to any team because he's a team player. He's the kind of guy that, you have all kinds of different players in your team, but there are certain players on your team, and you won a Stanley Cup, there are certain players that just help to take the anxiety out of the room, that just help to, when things are chaotic, settle things down. On the ice, plays the same all the time, never changes, and he makes other people around him want to play as hard as he does. And that's the kind of player you want on your team. You're right. He certainly, I think, is a guy that can help a team win, but I think you have to be that team where it's that one piece. I think if you need him and a few other pieces, and you're going to spend a lot of money to get him or give up a lot to get him, I'm not sure at the end of the day, if you don't win, if you'll feel like it was worth it. And only one team wins, as Brian Burkholz says, right? Only one team wins. So, but I think he'd be a great addition to any team. That's why there's so many teams that are interested in him. But I do believe a lot of teams are hesitant to give up the first rounder.
Do you think the Flames should have something of a fire sale despite the fact that they're legitimately in the playoff chase here? I mean, I know there's teams around Canada, Vancouver, Winnipeg, Edmonton, Toronto, all looking at their roster going, can we have a guy? But should they be selling?
Guys, I don't know where I fit on this, where everybody believes this should be as far as selling off and doing all this. As an ex-player, if we're in a playoff hunt, get the hell out of here. Leave us alone.
Yeah.
Like, this is why you pay us. This is why you put a team together. This is why this is the National Hockey League. You got a chance to get into the playoffs. What the hell are you doing selling players? I don't get this. I just don't understand it. It's become like it's a copycat league, and one team does it, and everyone's doing it. It's like when someone says, "Oh, the Senators, they're winning games now, and they're going to blow their draft position. They're not going to get in the playoffs, and they're going to win all these games that don't mean nothing." Every win means something. Every win in the National Hockey League builds character in your hockey club, especially a young hockey club like the Ottawa Senators. You need to get as many wins as you can. Build how to win hockey games. Get streaks together. I mean, I know this is the way things goes. This is the analytics, the business of the game of hockey now. But I got to tell you, as an ex-player, coming from a player's standpoint, if I'm 4 points out or 6 points out with 20-something games to go, and you just give up on us, and you sell the farm, and you leave us to just kind of wail on a clothesline, I'm like, what are we signing up and coming to training camp and busting a hump for to try to get in the playoffs when we just get there and you pull the rug out? I just don't understand it. I know why teams do it. I get it, but I don't understand if you're in a playoff spot why you do that.
Another team that's been linked to Tanev is the Ottawa Senators, and this is a team that's on the outside looking in. Does that surprise you? And whether or not they get him in a week and a half or go after him in the summer, is that the type of voice that you just spoke of moments ago, being a guy that can come into that room?
Bang on. I mean, Steve Stales is a player, and Steve Stales played a long time, knows what the importance of a guy like Tanev could be in a young locker room, and they've got a guy like Hamonic there that they thought could be that kind of guy to bring him in, that maybe he wasn't, skill wise up to snuff, but he could do some help in the locker room and be a good solid voice in the locker room. But they need a guy who can play more minutes. They need a guy that can be a little more up closer to the top four, and Tanev fits that bill. And Dave Poulin and Steve Stales, and I believe the ownership of that team, they want character players coming into Ottawa. They're going to help make this thing turn around. They have a lot of sexy sports cars in Ottawa. They're very talented. These guys want to win. They want to get at it, but they just can't seem to find their way through it. And I think that there are going to be some changes. Just me, as my opinion, I think looking at this from an outsider in, I do believe there will be changes there, and it'll be possibly to the core of that team that they feel they have too much of one thing. And what good is it for them to fall down in the standings and get a draft pick? They have draft picks. They have assets. They need to start getting better, and they need to start getting the fan base excited about what's coming. And I think this is a team that's got a lot of great pieces, but they've realized they may be a little short in some areas as far as the character and what builds that atmosphere around the team that's so important when you're building championship teams. And I think they're going to go out and look for that. And the guy like Tanev is a guy that is, like we talked about, one of those glue guys.
Do you think it's possible to bring in a guy, though, who, hasn't been with the team or a part of the room and say, this is a character, he's a leader now, this guy's going to be a leader of your team, and he hasn't been there, he's kind of the new guy to the culture? That's a tough spot, right? Like, I know the Leafs have tried to bring that in with O'Reilly and Schenn and Thornton and whatever, but the culture's got to start with the guys who've been there, no?
Yeah, or Giordano too, right? I mean,
right.
But yeah, you know what? I think you're right. It's not an easy sell.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they've got a top-notch captain there, and in Brady Tkachuk. I think Jacques Martin has done wonders for Brady Tkachuk. Mm-hmm. I think he has settled him down. He's got him back to focusing on sticking to playing the game and letting the other stuff when it deems necessary. He looks more in control of his game. He looks like a star player. Last night, man, he was trying to pull them on his back last night, that line with him and Pinto. But, they need some underneath guys. Claude Giroux came in there, and he became a leader in there. He's not a vocal leader. He's not a yeller, screamer. He's a guy who leads by example, and players love that. They love Claude Giroux. They love what he does for them, and they need a few more players like that to help out. And I think that there's going to be some things that we're not aware of, guys, that are going to happen over the next few months or a few weeks. What's going to happen with Jacob Chychrun? What's going to happen with Thomas Chabot? What's going to happen with some of the other players on that team that are going to be possibly exiting or moving on in deals, and they need to fill those voids back up, coming back the other side. So there are guys they're going to go after to bring in character, and it's not easy to step in as a new guy and be a leader right away. But when people know who you are and what you stand for around the league and the respect that you have around the league, I think that is just something that just comes along with it, and they trust it, and the young guys know it, and they believe it's going to help them in some way. He's not going to come in and be there forever. He's here for a short period of time to help get them through that next phase where the ownership and the management feel like there's some leadership issues missing. And not like, I don't mean badly. I just mean some veteran guys to help push some of these other guys that maybe aren't pushing each other enough.
Garry, got to ask you about the Toronto Maple Leafs and their latest run. We've seen some bold moves, including dropping John Tavares in the lineup here. Is this Sheldon Keefe showing everybody less is more?
You know what? Sometimes less is more. I mean, it really is. And you're getting ready to come to the playoffs. JT is not a young buck anymore. He's had some pretty good years. He's got, I think, a good playoff run in him. I think 100%. You want to come into the playoffs with everybody being as fresh as you possibly can, as healthy as you possibly can, and you still got 20-something games to go here. I tell you what, I tip my cap to the Maple Leafs, and I know that losing Morgan Riley for 5 games, it could have been something where they went 1-3-1 or 2-3, or they could have easily gone that way, and they didn't. They went 5-0. They stepped up. I would imagine there was a talk in the locker room when they said, "Hey, Morgan's going to be watching these games. Let's, he stood up for us. Let's make sure that these games, we're not making him feel like, a sack of while he's watching it. Let's go out there and get these things." And that's what teams do. When a guy takes a penalty, you guys know this, a guy takes a penalty late in the game, sticking up for somebody, and he gets the extra 2 minutes. You want to kill that penalty for that guy. You want to go out and block shots and be there to make sure that that penalty doesn't hurt him or the team. And so I think stepping up for a guy like Morgan Riley, I think was a really good thing for me to see. I think they got it together at the right time. And now they need to come down this final stretch playing good hockey, because they know 100% they're going into that first round facing a humdinger of a team right away. Mm-hmm. And it's not going to be a favorite. They're going to be going into that series most likely the underdog, and maybe that's a better place for them to be in, attacking a series with either Boston or Florida, which is what it looks like it's most likely going to be.
Yeah. The one thing for the Leafs is they've been through the wars. They understand what that pace of the first round looks like. We got 4 Canadian teams with legitimate Cup hopes this year: Winnipeg, Edmonton, Vancouver in that mix as well. Have had playoff experience to varying degrees. The Oilers have had some runs along the way. The Canucks less so. Where do you place that experience, that having been into the playoffs deep before, as a matter of importance, as something that teams need to go through to finally, to get to the top?
Well, if the Islanders had to go through it, and if you look at the Oilers had to go through it, then I would think most teams have to go through it.
Yeah.
I mean, the Oilers realized it and the Islanders realized it after significant heart-wrenching losses in the playoffs, and then realizing really what it took by seeing what their opponent laid out on the table to get it, and they knew there was another gear they needed, and they found it. So very few teams walk into this and just win it bang right away. I look at maybe Pittsburgh Sydney's first year, they kind of got through it all and just bang, it happened. And I think that's more rare that happens. I think it's something you have to experience. So for a team like Vancouver, for a team like Winnipeg, and Toronto, I mean, Toronto's gone into the playoffs. It hasn't had a long run yet. So that's still something that has to happen. So there's still some work to be done for the Canadian teams. I'm hopeful that Canadian teams don't play each other in the first round. I'd like to see them all play other opponents so we have a better opportunity to have as many of them move on as we possibly can. I'm one of those people, like every year I cross my fingers that a Canadian team can get to the finals and have a crack at winning the Cup. It's been too long since a Canadian team has hoisted that thing. I think it's time. There's a lot of good teams out there that it's not going to be easy. Vancouver are showing some speed wobbles right now, but it's a long year. That's a team that travels a lot of miles, and that's always a factor, and they get a little bit tired, but hopefully they can get it back going. As you know, it comes down to goaltending, and it comes down to defensive structure, how you can shut down your opponent's best players and continue to utilize your system while you're doing such. And I think that's something that you learn as you go along. And the Vegas Golden Knights did it in spades last year. I mean, they got terrific goaltending from a number of goaltenders, which was really weird. Mm-hmm. But they also are really good offensively, but their structure defensively didn't waver. They didn't give it up. They played good, solid defense, good structure defensively, but they still let their offensive game. They knew the right times to push it when they did, and they were successful at it. And so there's a recipe. There's a recipe that gets it done, and most often than not. And so for the Canadian teams, there's not a lot of teams that have had a chance to get there. The Montreal Canadiens a few years back, but they won't be in the mix at this juncture yet. But I do like the way Vancouver's played. I do love their team. I like the way Talk coaches them. I like Winnipeg. I'm a big fan of Rick Bowness. I like the way the Jets have played. With all the minuses off their team, this team has stepped up for one another and have really played well. And I like the additions they've made, guys who want to be there and play there. And Toronto, like I said, I was really pleased with how they kind of, stuck up for Morgan Riley, got those wins and try to keep things going. And the Oilers are a team, I mean, come on. I mean, this is a team that the bad start that they had, I mean, it was a terrible start. They're kind of the opposite of the LA Kings. LA Kings come out of the gate flying, and then they hit a friggin' wall. And then you look at Edmonton come out struggling, and then they just took off. So, I still believe that, with Connor McDavid and Draisaitl and the power that team has and how they're playing, that I think they could really get on a run in the playoffs. I think Jack Eichel winning the Cup too is going to put a little burr in McDavid's bonnet as well. I think you could win all the awards that you want to win, MVP, Hart Trophy, Ted Lindsay. But at the end of the day, you want to win that Stanley Cup. And Jack Eichel did that last year in Vegas. It looked unbelievable doing it. So you got to think Connor McDavid, he watched him do it. He wants to do that too.
Gals, really appreciate your time as always. Excellent stuff. Thanks for doing this, man.
Always a pleasure, you guys. Thanks,
right. Gals. Appreciate
Garry
it.
Galley does a terrific job on Sportsnet and Hockey Night in Canada.
In like hockey analytics, there's like the context of like who you play with and the tough minutes. We give Galley the tough minutes. We give him every Canadian team.
Yes.
He needs to know about the forward, the D, the goaltending for 7 teams because you're getting asked about it all.
I like that point about McDavid and Eichel.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really think of them as like comparables, but I guarantee McDavid does, and he's right. Like that's a guy that he was drafted ahead of, that they were compared together in that draft. It was talked about, and he got the cup before him. Not with the team that drafted him, so maybe that's a little bit of a thing or whatever, but it's interesting. Like I can guarantee Connor thinks about that. He's American, the Canadian thing. Like that's definitely a factor.
Competitive as hell, right?
Yeah.
And now, what's this stretch of goalless games?
10 maybe?
Yeah. I mean, good win last night. Set up Hyman.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, I don't care one iota about this goalless drought.
Everybody, though, just has to bring it up. It's a story.
I mean, it's fascinating that someone who scored 64 times last year can go 10 without a goal.
It's the longest he's gone since he broke into the league.
I think Matthews has had stretches of that length.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a 10.
8 maybe.
In his rookie year, he had a really long one.
Yeah.
Like I want to say like 13 or 12. Like he had a really long stretch without a goal, but I can't remember.
He doesn't go that many periods.
No.
It just seems like it's just bouncing a little bit off his stick right now. It's kind of rolling off.
For Connor?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Like every once in a while, I see him cutting in, and it's just like the puck like hiccups on him.
I just can't get over that pass to Hyman last night. He curls up, takes the puck, and turns above the hash marks, him and the goalie at the hashes, and to pass that up is like, that shows a lot of confidence in your line mate.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm passing that to nobody. Absolutely no player on earth. I'm taking that one.
Game time, boys?
Game time, baby.
All right, it's game time presented by Bet365.
What are your choices here?
Oh, my. Okay.
12 games.
Let me finish first, Kyper, and then we can get into that. I know you're excited about game time. It's game time presented by Bet365. Visit the app for the latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. So there are a lot of choices for tonight. A couple that I'm looking at. I like to go with the underdogs, which is why I probably never win a lot. But I do, like the Tampa Bay Lightning are huge favorites in Philly tonight. They're minus 140. I think Tampa is clearly the better team, more talent, but I just absolutely love how hard Philly plays, and it feels like that's a plus 120 bet for the Flyers. They play hard. They're good in their own building. I just feel like that's a bet that you're going to be in. They may not win it, but they're going to be in it in that game. So give me the Flyers plus 120 as a home dog. Another one that I like, and I don't really love to do this because the Penguins, my relationship with the Penguins, Canucks are having a tough go. And I'm sorry to my Canucks fans, brethren, that I love to talk about because I love the Canucks so much. But they're having a tough go right now. And the Penguins are absolutely scrapping and desperate for every point. Sid's putting the team on his back. They're plus 135 tonight against Vancouver in Vancouver. Let me take a shot on the Pittsburgh Penguins to beat the struggling Vancouver Canucks tonight at Rogers Place in Vancouver. Yeah, I think it's Rogers Place.
Sounds right.
A couple. What else was I looking at tonight?
I like the Devils at all. Devils got who? The San Jose Sharks or something? They're due for a win, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, if you want to play minus 260.
I'll do in regulation on those
Okay.
ones.
And you can, if you want to get them by a goal and a half, you can go minus 105. And just to look at the Leafs game tonight, the Leafs are pretty prohibitive favorites here, minus 165. I think that's pretty, shows a team that doesn't have a lot of good forward depth versus a team that's won 7 in a row in a public team. But minus 160 is a pretty steep number. If you like the Golden Knights, not bad at plus 140, but I wouldn't. I think the Leafs can.
I think the
handle
Canucks are about to turn the corner.
To Bad Town?
No, to get better.
Oh, nah.
They beat Boston on Saturday night, right?
Yeah.
Here they come. They got the Penguins here, Kings. These are big games.
I just got a funny feeling about the Penguins tonight.
All right.
So there you go.
Flyers.
Mm-hmm.
Jamie Drysdale.
Yeah.
They announced
So
he's
week
out
to week.
week to week.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, it's the same shoulder that kept him out of the lineup last season.
He shouldn't play again this year.
Crap.
Right? It's already March, basically.
Okay, if this is a recurring thing,
Yeah.
and knock on wood, like I've seen the kid, grow up in Toronto here, and I'm really hoping that this isn't like a long-term thing that could affect his career. But
I mean, you've played with guys, Kip, whose shoulders just.
this is one of those
Come out.
where, like, the Flyers can't afford to have traded for a guy with a bad shoulder off the trade that they made.
Yeah, if Cutter Gauthier ends up being what he could be. I mean, if it is a case where his shoulder is like going to be a recurring thing, you can do surgery and do it early so you're ready to go for next year. But yeah, that's sucks.
And the last thing I have here for
Yeah,
game
let's
time,
hope he's back before the end of the year.
and the last thing I have for game time is you can have a win division bets here. And I'm just looking at the Atlantic. The Toronto Maple Leafs are plus 650 to win the Atlantic Division if you're interested in that kind of thing. I think they've been getting hot recently. It's a bet against Florida, which maybe not be the best one, but at plus 650 for a hot team like that, it's not a terrible bet in my
I
opinion.
got 25 games to go, and there's 6 points back.
Not awful.
Realistically. Not
Anyways, that was game time presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll get into our NHL news and notes, including the Vancouver Canucks you guys just mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Our Elliot Friedman spoke of Pettersson. We talked about this briefly, and I think we ran out of time, so I want to kind of get into it a little bit more after the break. What are you giving me the face for?
I angered Vancouver. It's Rogers Arena, not Rogers Place. Rogers Place is Edmonton.
You're probably thinking of BC Place back in the day.
Okay, when
they're
Rogers owns the country, just use Rogers.
It's Rogers.
Just Rogers.
Night
Rogers
in
here,
Roger Day.
Rogers there, Rogers everywhere.
As there should be.
Okay, so
Doodle-doo.
before you got it wrong, Sammy, I was mentioning that our Elliot Friedman talked about Pettersson and the fact that teams are calling the Canucks on him.
Okay.
So I want to get into it a little bit more after the break. You all right?
I'm going to push back on that.
You don't even know what I'm going to say.
I just feel like fighting you.
All right, JB, ready to take the gloves off when we return on Real Kyper and Bourne. Welcome back into the Real Kyper and Bourne show. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. Just before the break, we were mentioning the Vancouver Canucks. And I don't think what Elliot Friedman reported Saturday when it came to Pettersson was earth-shattering, right? But
it shattered some earth.
But here's the but.
Okay.
It did probably lead to a little anxiety for Vancouver Canuck fans.
Yes. Very much so.
Very much so.
This is
Is it legit?
Oh, so you had a day to think about this? When I brought this up yesterday, you're like, it's not that big a deal. People just call all the time.
No, I wanted to get into it yesterday. We ran out of time.
It's a big deal.
That's what I'm getting to.
Elias Pettersson has 74 points in 60 games. He is a great defensive player. He hits. He's a great player.
He's an elite player in the league.
Yes, a centerman. He's 6'2" and 25 years old.
What
Valuable guy.
Where's the anxiety coming from?
I think the legitimate concern that it's strange this guy doesn't want to sign. By every reasonable measure,
for
the
the
Canucks
record,
have tried to re-sign him.
He's not. He's got next year. He's not a UFA.
Mm-hmm.
So technically he can't sign till July 1st. But everybody's under the impression that he doesn't want to sign. Correct?
Is that right? He can't sign?
He can
Well,
sign.
He can't officially sign, I believe, until July 1st.
Is that true?
I'm checking where he's his contract status here.
I feel like he can.
No, you can only sign. You can't sign 2 years out or a year and a half
His
away.
contract's up. This is it.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah, his
Okay,
contract's
so he
up.
has no year.
Yeah.
He's a restricted free agent. Okay. All right. Now,
So-
okay, I'm back on board now.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
He's making 7.35.
Okay. So it's not like he's an unrestricted free agent
No.
ready to walk out the door.
No.
He does have another year of control. Vancouver has another year of control
Right.
without the year on a contract.
Right.
Okay. So
But
do you get the sense that there's more to it than just a typical negotiation?
here's what I think. I think he wants to know that they're going to be good. I don't think he wants to play for a team that is flailing.
Okay, you've lost me already. They're past that. He knows they're a good team. They're a deep team right now. They're in a spot where
Right.
they can compete in the Western Conference. That question has been answered
When?
They-
When was it answered?
They
all season long.
in fact have the most points in the National Hockey League.
I know. I don't know if you guys know this, but they were bad last year. They missed the playoffs. And so without changing the lineup in any significant way, they are suddenly the best team in the league. I wouldn't be shocked if he was a little hesitant. Let's just see how this plays out. I don't have to
I
sign
don't
now.
buy that.
This is me thinking.
You buy
why
that?
else-
Well-
okay, well then fine.
No, it's okay. Keep going.
Let's say it's not this. Then
Yeah.
what? He just doesn't like the seawall.
I think it's
You
that.
think sushi's gross?
Hasn't he said that he was like, oh, I just want to focus on hockey? Maybe he just, which I always think is one of the stupidest things in the world. When they're like, oh,
No one has ever
I
said
can't-
that honestly.
well, no. The thing to me, it's like, oh, you play hockey, you can't talk about making 90 schmil.
Take
For-
the
yeah.
call from your agent who
Yeah,
says, do you
if-
want the money or not?
Yeah, you're sitting in your hotel room. You're not going to call your agent and be like, yeah, how much are they going to pay me?
A lot of downtime in hockey. You
That's
can
what I
figure
mean.
it out. So what's your theory then?
What are we doing? How's it going?
Yeah, I don't have a theory right now. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm just spitballing here, but there's a vibe now. I'm getting a vibe
And
that
what is
there's-
that vibe, sir?
that there's more to this than just.
Where there's smoke, there's fire.
Yeah, I'm starting to see a little smoke.
It's steam. It's just steam from overheated
Is
Canucks
it?
fans. Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, they're not going to trade this guy.
I'm not saying that they're going to trade him, but first and foremost, my first question is where is his heart?
Like, where does
San
he?
Francisco?
Uh,
Isn't that a song?
It is.
Okay.
It is. Okay, we've got a Nylander scenario that we just watched play out for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Granted, he was going into UFA, not RFA,
Yeah,
but
but
still needed a contract.
and he said how many times on the record?
How many times?
I want to be a Leaf. I love
Yes.
being a Leaf. I want to be a Leaf.
My total point. And how many times have we heard Petey say that?
I haven't read it. I haven't heard it.
You don't find that a little strange?
Yeah, listen, I find it a little strange. I do. But
If it's just about
they
money.
have control.
Yeah, I know they have
so they're not-
control.
yeah.
I know they have control.
He's going to sit at home next year and watch? I don't see an outcome here where, I don't know, where he's not a Vancouver Canuck in the
Can
lineup
I
next
just remind you that we probably had that same type of feeling for Bo Horvat?
Yeah, but he's not. Bo Horvat isn't the player Pettersson is.
Definitely not.
Bo Horvat was the captain
Yeah,
of
but-
the Vancouver
But
Canucks.
he's
I
not.
I'm
understand.
not saying he's
Pettersson.
Petey,
Yeah,
but he was a very important guy
Yeah.
that we had no vision 2 years ago of him
but they
leaving.
had to choose there. They chose JT Miller over Bo
They
Horvat.
chose JT Miller because Bo chose to not sign the contract they offered. That's why Bo left. Bo didn't leave because Bo wanted to leave. Bo left because they weren't willing to pay him what he thought he was worth, and he got it like that in the island.
So if they're not willing to pay Petey what he's worth, there's no one to choose instead of Petey. You know, there's no JT Miller this time to say, well, we're going to keep Brock Besser instead. You know, that's not a comparable.
We're going to keep the guy with the same name instead. Elias, the other Elias.
Yeah, I guess.
That's if you just assume it's about money.
He's got a crazy ex-girlfriend in the city he's trying to get away
I
from.
don't know. I'm just telling you that
Rain's a lot there. I don't know.
that maybe with Petey, it's not about the money. Like, is there some other reason why he's
I will
not
say,
signing?
I have a lot of respect for that generally, for people being like, I have one life to live here. I'd like to live, like Noah Hannafin wants to live in the U.S. or Boston. Awesome.
I'm sorry.
Great. Push for that.
It's not
You're
your
right.
spidey senses going that maybe this guy just doesn't want to be a Vancouver Canuck after,
To me,
contract's up.
To me, there's not.
Well, I can't say you're not talking me into it.
But I mean, they're not lowballing him. They're probably being like, there's probably an excellent contract on the table to
I'm
him
sure
right
it's
now.
Nylander plus $1 million.
100%.
Yeah, they're not like low. It's not like a low ball. They're not paying him enough situations. So
I don't think it would be because they've embarrassed him on an offer.
Yeah.
So he's not publicly coming out and saying,
Maybe he hates
let the
taxes.
agents work it out. I'm sure they'll figure it out. And there's lots of time. It's not a Willie Nylander going, I want to be here. My heart's here. And I don't envision going anywhere else. And I don't want to talk about it anymore.
maybe he's waiting till after the Canucks have a excellent playoff run, and he's one of the best players on the team for that whole time to negotiate a couple extra $1 million.
That's definitely one thing.
How much extra are we talking about?
I don't know. All these guys, that's all they
Get
want.
that,
They just want to
get
get as much as they can possibly get. So
The only thing that makes sense is my answer, guys.
Which is?
Is that he's not sure that they're going to be, where he wants them to be over the next 8 years.
But they're a good team.
They are. I'm convinced now, too. And I wonder if now he's not convinced, too, and it changes. If, he starts to listen. They start to have conversations. I don't know.
Okay.
Listen, we're all just throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing which noodles stick.
I'm sure a Vancouver audience is going to love that convo.
They don't think they're having it behind closed doors?
Oh, no, they've beaten this thing up to
is that
death.
they're all trying not to say it, but it's in here. They know that conversation's happening between the years. We are not out on a limb here with this
People
conversation.
are starting to wonder if this guy wants to be a Vancouver Canuck or not. That's.
Do you think that would affect the team heading towards playoffs? That they're not as sure that their best player, or can use whatever, but is fully committed?
Yes. To answer your question, yes. Behind the scenes, there'd be a group of guys over a beer, lunch.
What does he want?
Behind the back of the bus going, okay, what's going on with Petey? Are they dumb enough
Will
to
Smith cry? What does he want us, man?
is management and ownership dumb enough to think that this guy's not worth almost $100 million over 8 years?
The math on that, 13 and
No.
I don't know.
12.
Yeah.
12 times 8 is what?
96.
96. Okay, I was close. I'm so in the ballpark there. I'm so proud of myself.
Yeah,
That's
work.
good.
Okay.
That's good.
So, like, there's not a person on the bus. There's not a person behind the bench, in management, to the owner that thinks, oh, we're not paying 96, or we'll pay 87,
I think 100's
but
the
not
exact-
96.
100's the exact number. 12 and a half. Here you go.
Right?
Yep.
12 and a half. That offer has to have been made already.
And if it's been made and he doesn't want it,
Ew.
the only thing is if they're, because they do have some leverage with him being an RFA, right? Like, is that not?
But Kyper said it a million times. The number ain't going down, right? It's just like the number, regardless, it's not going down.
So,
Happen with Willie.
you can have this great season, and let's just say they get knocked out in the first round.
Oh.
Okay?
Bottom of the West. Let's talk the second round.
Okay, second round. He's gonna live and die on his decision of being a future Vancouver Canuck based on that? After spending the whole season with Rick Tocchet and JT and Hughes and building this thing up, thinking like we're going to be good for the next 3 or 4 years, and we're gonna cash in one of those years for Stanley Cup.
Let me play Pettersson's agent. Oh, you mean playing with Rick Tocchet, who's called him out multiple times in the media and made a huge firestorm about it multiple times? You mean that,
Maybe
Rick Tocchet?
he doesn't like Rick.
What part don't you like? That the guy knows how to win a Stanley Cup? That's the part you don't like?
There you go. Then now you're Rick
He's
Tocchett's
mean
agent.
to me. He's mean to me. He says mean things.
No, I don't buy that.
I'm just saying. I'm just playing devil's advocate about it.
Petey's smart enough. Petey's smart enough to know that there's coaches that push you and make you better.
And I love Rick Tocchet. And it's one of the most heartbreaking things about him being there is that he doesn't come on our show anymore. Because he was a rock for us through the first year of us.
My time hop today, I had showed 2 years ago. I had taken a picture of my TV screen. It was the Vancouver Canucks best defensive team since December 6th. So that would have been over 2.5 months. And it was with big Bruce Boudreau's face beside it. They had been the best defensive team over 2.5 months of Boudreau's initial time.
Bruce, there it is, baby.
Yeah, they were right in the middle of Bruce Firestorm now, 2 years ago.
What a time to be alive that was.
And what a turn since.
I saw a picture of Bruce Boudreau in a cameo in the movie Slapshot. Did you know that?
Yeah.
He's in Slapshot?
I think I knew that, but I forgot it, I think.
You know our boy Fuchs gets walked in Youngblood?
What?
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Feuds was in Youngblood?
Yeah.
I got to watch that movie. That's a great movie.
I think it shot at Ted Reeves.
I was supposed to be in that, and I told you I decided at the last second, I don't want to be an extra.
Easily.
Or you just wanted to be the star? You wanted to take Rob Lowe's place?
I should have been Rob Lowe. But I didn't shoot right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm telling everybody.
Easily the funniest part of that is they cut to the guys in the gym, and I think it's Steve Thomas is in there.
Doing
But
leg presses.
Is that Patrick Swayze's in there in full lower body equipment doing squats. He's got shin pads and the pants on.
Oh, yeah.
Just doing,
That's so gross. The first thing you want to get off is those shin pads.
in the gym doing leg presses and squats.
Wasn't
in
that
lower gear?
Slapshot just had an anniversary. Was it 50? Was that possible?
Really? Yeah, it's possible. I guess
Yeah.
74 is
Yeah.
doing the math.
What a good movie that is. Love it.
It's my
Still a classic.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, it's my all-time favorite.
Reg.
All-time fave.
All-time favorite.
Kipper, what's your all-time favorite movie?
Yeah, Slapshot be up there for sure.
Happy Gilmore here.
Happy Gilmore?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a great pick.
Yeah, you know, it's
Office Space up there.
it's very
Shawshank.
Shawshank.
Oh, yeah. It's very easy.
Yeah.
But, like, it's just the one I've watched the most, the one that made me laugh the hardest. It's just very
Never
good.
not enjoyable.
Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah. So tonight, Toronto Maple Leafs, Vegas Golden Knights. Who you got there, Kippy?
Do you buy into the coming off a West Coast trip at first game
game
at
back
home?
after a
Did you
trip?
buy that theory?
Out of conference
Yes.
opponent, yeah, for sure.
Okay, so
Letdown night for the Leafs.
maybe.
3-1.
No, I absolutely think they could win tonight, but they got to survive a slow start, in my opinion.
LA Kings coming off a loss. Does Calgary eat them up tonight?
I think the Kings are going to start rolling here. Calgary's going to start
There's
going.
something there's a bad vibe right now.
There is
And
something
you
a little
can't have
rotten.
Dave. You can't thinking you're a top dog in the East and you got David Rittich in that right now.
Hey, quickly before we go, got stopped last night at York Canlan before my hockey game. And a guy, I believe his name was Bari. He said he listened to our show in Japan all the time. He was up at all hours of the night and he came back and he lives here now. He stopped me, he said he loved the show and he listened all the time from Japan. Big Leaf fan. So I thought that was awesome.
Big fan of you, Barry. Thanks for his support.
I
It's
think it
awesome.
was Bari. I hope it's Bari. But I think it's Bari. Anyways, there you go.
Love it.
So, does he get our? Do they? Is it in?
He was watching it on YouTube when we were on YouTube.
Do they dub it for us? Or do you actually hear our voice?
I don't think so.
I'd like to hear it if they dub it. All right, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Enjoy your games tonight.